Hello, dear friends, how are you? The human beings around us are of different nature. All are not the same. There are people who are simple and straightforward. They are sincere, not trying to cheat or to manipulate anybody. While there are people who are quite unfair in their attitudes as well. They are not simple, they are not straightforward. They are trying to manipulate or to cheat others by playing the mind games. Mind games. Now, these mind games are designed for the purpose of taking undue advantage, manipulation, which is quite unfair. Since the manipulation is being done by playing the mind games, so we easily become the victim of all that. On the spot, we fail to understand. But in the hindsight, we come to know that I was treated unfairly. I was manipulated upon. I was being used by somebody. And on the one hand, there is a feeling of loss. On the other hand, there is a lot of pain as well. Why lot of pain and anger? Why I became the victim of manipulation? Why I allowed somebody? Anger upon we ourselves, anger upon the other person as well, who manipulated us, who cheated us. So, my dear friends and fellows, it becomes very important, it becomes obligatory to be able to understand the kind of mind games people are seen playing so that we are better able to protect ourselves, so that we stay safe. So, let's begin with the common mind game meant for the purpose of manipulation. There are five very common mind games. First of all, it is gaslighting, and we will talk about the kind of mind games. We will talk about how to detect these, and we will of course talk about how to protect ourselves. So the first very common mind game, that is called gaslighting. And gaslighting is manipulating somebody, manipulating someone into doubting their own perception, manipulating someone into doubting their own perception, so that they stop trusting their own mind, so that they think that I'm not able to remember properly, recall properly, I'm unable to take the right decision, I am lacking the capability, I am not confident enough, I don't have the capability to take the action. So that is doubting one's own perception, that unable to, unable to trust one's own mind and thinking abilities. So that is the gaslighting. How to detect it? Feelings of confusion and feelings of self-doubt. Whenever there are feelings of confusion, there are feelings of self-doubt, it means that somebody is playing the game of gaslighting with us. How to protect, that is our next, that is trusting your instincts. Trust trust your instincts and seek outside validation as well. Trusting our own instincts, whatever our heart says, and seeking the validation not from this person but from outside, but from other people. So that is the game, mind game number one. The second manipulative mind game is guilt tripping. What is the guilt tripping? It is making someone feel guilty for controlling their behavior. Making someone feel guilty for controlling their behavior So that is the guilt tripping, mind game of guilt tripping. How to detect that somebody is trying to play this game with us? It is feelings of guilt and feelings of obligation. Feelings of guilt and feelings of obligation. So that is how we can detect it. Now, how to protect ourselves from this mind game? It is that is set clear boundaries, setting of very clear boundaries, and prioritizing self care. Now that was the second mind game of guilt tripping. The third very common mind game for the purpose of manipulation, it is it is the emotional blackmail. What is this, by the way? Threatening to harm oneself or the other. Threatening to harm oneself or the other, and if the demands are not met, if you don't do what I want you to do, I will do this thing with myself. I will harm myself. I will kill myself. I will commit a suicide. Or I will kill you. I will do this thing to you. And I will kill myself. I will kill yourself. And that is emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail. And now how to detect that somebody is trying to blackmail us emotionally? It is that is that is how to detect it. Feelings of fear and feelings of anxiety. If at all somebody is living in the fear, somebody is living in the anxiety, it is because somebody is emotionally blackmailing them. Fear of feelings of fear and feelings of anxiety. Now how to protect ourselves? That is seeking support and prioritizing your own well-being. Prioritize your own well-being and seeking of support and prioritizing your own well-being. Now moving to the fourth very common game, it is love bombing. What is this, by the way? It is showering excessive attention to gain control. Showering excessive attention to gain control, that is the love bombing. Now how to detect? That is feelings of overwhelm and feelings of suffocation as well. Feelings of overwhelm and feelings of suffocation as well. So that is how we can detect that this game of love bombing is being played upon me. How to protect ourselves? It is setting boundaries and prioritizing your own needs. Set boundaries and prioritize your own needs. That is how we can protect ourselves from the love bombing mind game. The fifth and the last, very common. The fifth and the last, very common mind game is playing the victim. Playing the victim. It is that is manipulating others by pretending to be helpless. Manipulating others by pretending to be helpless. How to detect that somebody is playing this game upon me? It is feelings of responsibility and feelings of obligation as well. Feelings of responsibility and feelings of obligation. Now how to protect ourselves? It is set clear boundaries. Setting of clear boundaries and avoiding enabling behavior. Setting up clear boundaries and avoiding enabling behavior. So these are the five very common mind games for the purpose of manipulating us, exploiting us. We also spoke about how can we detect it, how can we identify, how can we understand, how can we detect that this game is being played upon me, and again how to protect ourselves as well against each of the mind game for the purpose of manipulating us. Now there are certain other additional tips as well. Five other additional tips for the purpose of protecting ourselves. First one is Set clear boundaries. Setting up clear boundaries. Communicate by communicating your needs and by communicating your limits. Setting up clear boundaries by communicating your needs and by communicating your limits as well. So that is the first additional way how to protect ourselves. The second one is prioritizing self-care. Prioritize self-care by taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Prioritizing self-care, take care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Now, the third additional way to protect ourselves, it is seek support. Seeking of support. Surround yourself with the positive and supportive people. Seeking support by surrounding yourself, by being in contact with the positive and the supportive people. Now, the fourth way to protect ourselves, that is trust your instincts. That is trust your instincts. And how can we trust our instincts? By listening to your gut feelings. Listening to your gut feelings, listening to your intuition, or say what your heart says. Do what your heart says. The fifth and the last additional point, it is that is practice assertive communication. Practicing of assertive communication. What is the assertive communication? It is express your needs and express your feelings clearly but respectfully. Expressing your needs, expressing your feelings very clearly, very repeatedly, and of course respectfully as well. So these are the five additional ways to protect ourselves from the manipulation, from the mind games designed for manipulating us. Now, my dear friends and fellows, please remember, awareness and self-care are keys. Awareness and self-care are the keys to protecting yourself from manipulative mind games. Awareness and self-care are keys to protecting yourself from the manipulative mind games. Manipulative mind games are very common, very common. So, if at all we don't try to understand it, it actually means that we are offering ourselves voluntarily that okay, if at all somebody is willing to manipulate me, I'm ready to cooperate, I'm ready to be manipulated upon, but it is the worst we can do with ourselves. Of course, it is the worst we can do with ourselves. We don't have to be our own worst enemy. And if at all we want to become our own best friend, it is very important indeed that we need to identify, we need to know what are the mind games being played very common nowadays, how to detect these mind games, and how to protect ourselves. So that is all from me today. Thank you very much, honorable friends. It is always a pleasure talking to you, and I myself learn a lot by offering these lessons to my honorable listener viewers. Thank you very much.